Hey friends! In this video, we're going to be reviewing everything final accounts. You will understand what certificates are involved, what the purpose of final accounts are, their components, and what the process is for getting the final account agreed. So, construction contracts will generally provide some mechanism for the final payment to be made to the contractor on completion of the works, and the criteria for completion will be described in the contract. So, as a general note, this payment will be made at the end of the defects liability period, providing that all patent defects have been rectified. And a patent defect, if you did not know, is a defect which could have been easily discovered during the build process. This could be discovered by a contractor or a surveyor or any party involved in the build at the stage. A latent defect, on the other hand, is one which could not have been easily discovered during the build process and may only be found many months or years following the completion of the build. This, my friends, is why we have a 12-month defects liability period. And some extra awesome information, if you did not know why a defects liability period is 12 months, this is so that the building can go through all 4 seasons: summer, autumn, winter, and spring. This means that the building can be tested with snow, as well as in 30 degrees heat. How amazing. Such a cool piece of information. Okay, so back to final accounts. Preparing the final account is the process of calculating and agreeing any adjustments to the contract sum so that the amount of the final payment can be determined. As simple as that. I hope you guys are with me. And the amount of the final payment is then set out in the final certificate or final statement. Construction contracts might not require the preparation of a final account, although they generally do require the contractor to provide all the documents necessary for the adjustment of the contract sum. And the documents will also have been required within a specified time and set out the timescale for the consequences of issuing the final certificate. Agreeing the final account can be a complicated, time-consuming and adversarial process, and as you are probably aware, can result in many disputes. In my personal experience, agreeing the final account can be made much easier if adjustments to the contract sum are agreed as the project progresses, rather than saving them all up at the end. This is something the NEC contracts really excel at. And agreement of the final account will allow the contract administrator to issue the final certificate and the conclusion that all patent defects have been remedied, all adjustments to the contract sum have been agreed, and all claims have been settled. Amazing. So let's have a think about a few common scenarios, and this will really help you to understand better. Let us say that the latent defects are found after completion of the contract. This could give rise to action for damages, for breach of contract, or even negligence. And if you didn't know, negligence means failure to take proper care over something, meaning that the contractor did not take proper care over something. So if this does happen, it could turn into a dispute. And to conclude, the final account would then be subject to the dispute resolution procedures, such as adjudication, arbitration, or other dispute resolution procedures. In addition, the final certificate itself can be disputed, usually within 28 days. And the final certificate is then only conclusive in relation to matters that are not disputed. In other words, all the other elements of the final account can be concluded, and the elements that are disputed will be concluded thereafter. And another common scenario could be that the client intends to pay a different amount from that shown on the certificate. In this case, they must give notice to the contractor of the amount they intend to pay and the basis for its calculation, i.e. a pay less notice, as per the Housing Grants, Construction and Regeneration Act. Payment is the single biggest cause of disputes between parties in construction. This makes it so important that both parties to a contract understand how the payment conditions work and the dates by which they must make an application for payment and provide notices by. The best way to do this, and some advice to the quantity surveyors, is to clarify this in detail during the tender stage negotiations and adopt an open approach to the application for payment process. If both parties approach the project with this genuine intention, they will find it simpler to successfully manage the financial aspects of the project, and final account can be agreed quickly and easily. Okay, so that was quite a lot of information, so I think it would be a good idea to summarize. Let's start with what the final account is. So it's the financial statement of all the adjustments to the contract sum, and therefore the total amount that the employer is liable to pay. It's the end financial position of the contract. It includes all additions and omissions. And the final account is prepared by the quantity surveyor under a traditional contract, and is prepared by the employer's agent under a design and build contract. And the final account has two main purposes. Number one, to enable the final certificate to be issued. And number two, to conclude the financial position of the project. Amazing. And let us see what the final account shows. So the final account shows the total adjusted contract sum, the total of all additions and deductions, the total of all previous payments made to the contractor in interim certificates, and the difference of this is expressed as a debt due from one party to the other. Okay, this is good. So far we've seen what certificates are involved, what the purpose of the final accounts are, their components, and what the process for getting the final account agreed. Something else that will be really useful to you guys to know is usually the components of a final account. And this includes items like variations, fluctuations, prime cost sums, provisional sums, payments to nominated subcontractors or nominated suppliers, statutory fees, payments relating to the opening up and testing of the works, loss and expense, liquidated and ascertained damages, the release of any remaining retention, contra claims as a result of the contractor's operations. And these contra claims could be, for example, a third party claim resulting from contractor negligence or contractual breach, for example, flooding a neighbor's property. And finally, let's conclude this video by reviewing the process for getting the final account agreed. So practical completion should be issued and the quantity surveyor should visit the site to evaluate the works. Once prepared, the quantity surveyor should send all the details and supporting evidence to the contractor. Any points of disagreement should be discussed and negotiated, and then both parties should sign the summary to show their agreement. And that's it. That wraps up this video. Thank you guys so much for your time. I wish you all the best on your journey to becoming a construction master. And if you have any questions, drop me an email at hilan@construction-mastery.com.